FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's September 5th, 2017. Email us, kl@kerrylutz.com. Well, we're looking at a major Cat 5 hurricane. It's blowing winds of 180 miles an hour. It's looking pretty bad. Person you're about to hear from, also a resident of Florida, a little further north than myself. I'm debating whether to just ride out the storm with a shotgun in my lap and a bottled water in my belt. But I haven't made a decision yet. We'll have to just see how it tracks, but potentially catastrophic. And, well, Ned Schmidt's with us now. Ned, it's good to, as always, to have you on. And you can find Ned's publications, the Value View Gold Report, the Agri-Food Value View. Ned, welcome back.
How you doing this morning, Kerry?
I'm trying to figure out what the hell to do.
You're doing a lot better than you're going to be doing Sunday morning, I assure you.
Yeah, well, I might just get out of here. I mean, my inclination is to go up to Orlando, because you can always find a hotel room there someplace with Wi-Fi. But the problem is they're saying the storm might hit Orlando also.
Well, I've been through 3.5 of them, so I'm going to sit this one out. I'm far enough north it shouldn't bother me.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
What's worrisome about this storm, Kerry, is where it goes after it leaves Florida. And where it hits in the Gulf. I mean, it's got to go somewhere. Correct. So you're talking about Texas, Louisiana, Alabama getting hit again. And then where that storm goes after it gets ashore. This thing is such a monster storm, it may not stop till it gets to St. Louis. And so those people listening to us, this storm is going to cause damage in a lot of places. And we learned some lessons from Houston that the important things in this world are cities like Houston. Not only is it the fourth, was the fourth largest city.
It will be again.
Houston is the center of the oil and gas energy industry in this country. I mean, Houston is more important in this nation than San Francisco. If San Francisco falls in the ocean, we lose Facebook and Instagram, which our lives will go on happily without.
Yeah.
But what we got to remember with Houston and Korea, that's on top of whatever was going on before. In other words, the issues we need to deal with are still some of the issues that were there before. Houston just makes it exacerbate those. In other words, the dollar was going down. The dollar is probably at a 2-year low if you correctly measure it. And that is an underpinning for gold that could only last for a short period of time. And so the dollar already going down, with Houston hit, the Federal Reserve is going to use that as an excuse not to raise rates. And I think that's what the market's recognizing. So there's no chance of the Federal Reserve raising interest rates till 2018. And so the markets are saying under that, we don't buy the dollar. I track 12 currencies other than against the dollar. And there's only 2 of them that are weaker. And that's the ruble and the South African rand. And so people that were buying the dollar are now selling the dollar and buying other currencies. I mean, the 2 strongest currencies are the Australian dollar and the Canadian loonie.
Yeah.
Well, that's got nothing to do with Korea. I mean, if Korea goes into a nuclear war, you don't immediately think about buying the Australian dollar. There are other things
yen.
driving.
Or buy the yen, huh?
Right. I mean, if a nuclear weapon goes off in Korea, Australian dollar is not the first thing that comes to mind.
No, not at all.
And I think that it's that dollar and the recognition that Houston means that the Federal Reserve is not going to raise rates and the dollar is going to go down some more. And this move in gold we hit 1340 yesterday.
Right.
And that's the price. That's the price, intraday price to watch. But there's only one meaningful number anymore on gold, and that's 1376.
Mm-hmm.
And we're knocking on the door of that price. And it doesn't take much to build the froth. That's what Korea does. It builds the froth on the waves.
Mm-hmm.
And so that froth of the waves is going to carry us higher. And
Correct.
I don't know about you, Kerry, but I don't see any positive resolution of the Korean situation in the short term. I mean, it's not going to all of a sudden, North Korea is going to become the good guys.
Mm-hmm. Not likely.
And gold has the fundamentals of a weak dollar, and it's going to stay weak because the Fed's not going to raise rates after Easton. And then silver started to perk up. It hit $18, 1802 yesterday.
Intraday.
Now, we hit a high last time I looked at 1806 today. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but silver's been lagging. And those daily intraday highs mean finally some money's moving back to silver, because silver, in my opinion, has been carried that this cryptocurrency nonsense has dragged money away from the silver market.
Mm.
And when people finally realize how foolish that nonsense is, they will shift back to silver. I mean, one of the things we learned in Houston was cryptocurrencies are worthless if there's no electricity.
Yeah.
I mean, if two guys went in a bar and one tried to pay with his cryptocurrency, the bartender's just going to shake his head. And the other guy puts down a piece of piece of paper, he gets a beer.
Even if that green piece of paper was manufactured in North Korea, they're like a leading counterfeiter. Yeah. It'll still do better. Counterfeit currencies do better than kleptocurrencies, right?
That's right.
So
they may be losing value, but they have some value.
Yeah, at least they look like.
We need to add one definition to money. What's a viable money? It has to have purchasing power, even when the electricity is off.
Yeah, a medium of exchange, portability, that's called, actually. Portability, because, like in theory, a cryptocurrency is portable. You just take your smartphone and shoot it to the other guy's smartphone, to his wallet. But if there's no computers and there is no electricity, you're going to have a little bit of problem. I don't think the cryptocurrency is worth the paper it's not printed on under those circumstances.
That's right. And as we were talking earlier, China has banned ICOs, which are initial con offerings.
Yeah, I thought they were coin offerings. Did I get that wrong? Con. Oh, that's different.
But the interesting thing in the press release from the Chinese government was that 90% of the coin desks they examined were frauds, pure frauds.
What a shock.
And I can't remember the last time the Chinese regulators were smarter than the SEC. I mean, if the Chinese regulators can figure this out, you would think the SEC would have some inkling that this is, in my humble opinion, on the verge of consumer fraud. I mean, tulips, at least you can plant them or eat them.
Hey, well, I told you that I want to create a tulip-backed cryptocurrency, and it's only going to be Dutch tulips because I want to make Holland great again. And I think that it could become the world's reserve currency, Ned.
Well, so you're not asking to be paid in cryptocurrency now?
No, I want to get paid in tulips. I think they're probably along, but I want the currency backed by tulips. That's the key.
That's the key?
Yeah, the currency's got to be backed by tulips. Otherwise, what's it worth? It's not worth anything.
That's right.
Right?
But I told you, Paris Hilton is endorsing one now.
Well, then it's got to be good. Got to be great, right?
Right. I mean, if Paris Hilton thinks a cryptocurrency is good, it's got my vote.
Is Paris Hilton buying gold, do you know?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if you're buying the currency or getting paid in the currency.
yeah, yeah. Well, when she starts doing modeling gigs and is getting paid in cryptocurrency, then I'll believe it. But she's what you call one of those influencers. I don't know who she's influencing, but evidently she's got a following of people. And anyways, what can you do? What can you do? Yeah.
When 100 million people are followers of Katy Perry, you know what's going on in the world.
Yeah. Yep. That's for sure. Hey, so ag, they've had a big move. The storm could definitely have an impact on them. What's your take on what's happening with the meats, proteins, all that stuff? We headed higher there?
Well, my agri-fruit index hit an all-time high 7 weeks ago. We've been in a correction here for 7 weeks.
Which you expect, right? I mean, that's
5 weeks ago.
That's behaving perfectly normal by hitting a peak and then pulling back.
Right, just a correction. Now, what's going on is the hottest sector in ag commodities have been meats. We euphemistically call them animal proteins. So we're not talking about red meat. But what's been going on is, take the United States, our exports have exploded.
Yes.
In beef exports through June were up 15% from a year ago. Eggs up 18%. Dairy up 12%. Pork up 13%. The global demand for meats is just beyond what we can probably produce. But meats have a seasonality in them, and we're from about July to October, the price of meats go down, and it turns around in October. So what we've been having is a correction in the meats that is quite normal. The other part has been grains. Corn and soybeans have been the epicenter of futures traders. These markets we've been in for years have pushed everything to a ridiculous extreme. And they pushed corn and soybeans last week, it looks like, to that extreme because those prices turned around dramatically on Thursday. And so it's beginning to look like we've had a bottom in grains. And one of the things that's going on is people need to remember that there's only 3 times in history that the Western world has had full bellies. One was during the Middle Ages when the plague hit Europe. So many people died off, there was adequate food supply. The other was in the 1800s when North America was put to the plow and the steamship was invented.
Yeah.
And we started shipping meat and grains to Europe out of Chicago. The third time was when Brazil opened up. Brazil was the last great farming opportunity. What's going on there now is Brazil is consuming their grains, where they just automatically dumped it into the export market. Now they're consuming it. They're now consuming 63% of the corn they produce, 43% of the soybeans they produce. They just opened last month the first corn to ethanol only plant in Brazil.
Really?
Brazil has produced a lot of ethanol, and they use about, I don't know what the current number is, like 28% of their fuel is ethanol. They've traditionally made that out of sugar cane, but sugar cane is a seasonal product. You only have cane come out of the field once a year, and you can't put it in storage. But they produce all this corn. So the sugar plants are converting to corn sugar, and now we've got this giant state-of-the-art plant that's going to use corn only to make ethanol. So what the goal is to consume their corn and soybeans locally. And so the outlook for the next couple of years just gets better and better for agriculture because there is not another Brazil out there. And so prices are going to do quite well. And we're going to see farmers, their net cash farm income is going to be up in 2017 and 2018. And so that means 2018 is going to be a good year for all of farm-related stocks. And the one that looks the cheapest right now is ADM, which is one of the big grain collectors.
Right. Archer Daniels.
I'm sorry?
Archer Daniels Midland, once upon a time.
Right, Midland. And the other thing I'm talking to people about is John Deere versus AGCO. I would own AGCO. I would not own John Deere.
Yeah.
The problem we've got in the stocks, Kerry, is we've lost a couple. We've lost Syngenta. We're going to lose Monsanto. Dow DuPont completed their merger on the 31st. It is now Dow DuPont, and they will now move towards spinning off their agricultural activities. Mm-hmm. When that stock comes, it's going to be of interest because of the quality of the companies and because we're going to lose Monsanto. So that stock is going to be of some interest. The other thing it points to is we need to start looking outside the United States. If Brazil can get to the point where every business transaction doesn't have to have a gratuity.
Good luck there.
Yeah, it just beats me. These people have a dream in terms of their opportunities in agriculture and exporting, but they can't get past the questionable politics.
Yeah, beautiful.
But the JBS, which trades the United States as JBSAY, 80% of the company is in U.S. dollars and comes from the United States operation. The other one that's had a problem, and we're probably 6 months from knowing that it's not going to have any more problems, and that's BRFS. It's what it trades in the United States. It's the largest chicken exporter in the world, and nobody else can come close to them. So these are companies that are, we get past the politics in Brazil, are going to be the Microsofts of the next 10 years. The other one is WH Group, which is a Chinese company. The stock trades in Hong Kong, and there is an ADR that trades in the United States. WH Group is the largest pork company in the world. They're referred to as China's #1 butcher. They're the biggest pork company in China. They bought Smithfield Foods here in the United States. And what they're doing is they recently made an acquisition in Poland, but they're doing their non-Chinese acquisitions through Smithfield so that what they're trying to do is move assets out of China. And so this is the biggest pork company in the world. Mm-hmm. The ADR symbol, I believe, is WHGLY, and that's an ADR on the Hong Kong shares, and it also pays a dividend because all Hong Kong traded shares have to pay a dividend.
Right.
So that's what's going on there, Kerry. Mm-hmm. And one last thing on the hurricane. Everybody's worried about Florida, but what Irma does after she leaves Florida again is where does she go after that? Where does she hit in the Gulf of Mexico, and how far north does she go? Because we're just now starting harvest in the southern United States. So we could have crop damage. Harvey only impacted cotton in East Tennessee. And so
most of the cotton's imported anyway, Egypt, Sea Island, whatever, right?
Yeah, right.
So
that's it. These are two exciting sectors, and silver is the most undervalued in the precious metals, but you got to own it, and that means, I think, from the evidence of Harvey, you need to own some physicals, coins or whatever in that sector. You never know.
Mm-hmm. You never know is right, and we're just seeing stuff here, Ned. I mean, hey. This used to be like a stable country, the United States, the only stable country or the most stable country in the world. And many other countries in the world, Ned, derived their stability from the United States, whether it was military or from the dollar or proximity to the U.S. And now I think the entire world's got to be rethinking what's going on here. How many more of these natural disasters are going to happen this year? And look, hey, 180 mile an hour wind. Remember Hurricane Andrew when that hit? And that was 20 something years ago, caused all these building codes to change, really had an impact. But we're going to find out now how good the construction really is in South Florida in the wake of Hurricane Andrew and the enhanced building codes. I mean, this is monumental what we're going through here, Ned, as well as the geopolitical aspects of North Korea and Iran and a bunch of other troublemaking countries who are doing China's bidding for them. Well, we'll see what happens here. Anyways, check out Ned's publications. Again, the ValleyViewGoldReport.com, the AgriFoodValueView.com. Questions, comments, email us at kl@kerrylutz.com. The Twitter feed is @KerryLutz. As long as San Francisco doesn't fall into the sea, we should be able to get your tweets. And the Facebook page
I got mixed emotions on that.
I know. And the Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. And don't forget to, if you want to subscribe to the show, get it delivered to your computer or your smartphone automatically. Really simple to do in the iTunes store on a PC or on a Mac. You just go there to the store, type in Kerry Lutz or Financial Survival Network, and then click subscribe. And on your phone, if you have an iPhone, you use the podcast app and you do the same thing. And if you got an Android, well, you're kind of on your own, but it's no big deal. You just go into the Android podcast store and go and click subscribe. It's all simple. It'll get to you automatically. And please write us soon. And Ned, let's see what happens here. But boy, these markets and Mother Nature never cease to amaze.
And they're both more powerful than anything we can do.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.